Shri Hare Namaha. We shall begin today's session soon. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Shri Paramagurubhyo Namaha, Shri Adigurubhyo Namaha, Shri Murgurubhyo Namaha, Shri Madananda Tirtha Bhagavad Padacharya Namaha, Shri Vedavyasaya Namaha, Shri Bharate Namaha, Shri Saraswati Namaha, Shri Vayave Namaha, Shri Brahmane Namaha, Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Hare Namaha, Mokshaprada Shri Vasudevaya Namaha, Krishnaya Vasudevaya Hare Paramatmane Pranatakleshanashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो ग्रन्थमुदीरयेत् नारायणं सुरगुरुं जगदेकनाथं भक्तप्रियं सकललोकनमस्कृतं च त्रैगुण्यवर्जितम् अजमुमाद्यमीशं वन्दे भवग्नममरासुरसिद्धवन्द्यम् अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैकरूपरूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे नमो हिरण्यगर्भाय हरे शङ्कराय च वासुदेवाय ताराय सर्गस्थित्यन्तकारिणे एकानेकस्वरूपाय स्थूलसूक्ष्मात्मने नमः अव्यक्तव्यक्तरूपाय विष्णवे मुक्तिहेतवे सर्गस्थितिविनाशानां जगतोऽस्य जगन्मयः मूलभूतो नमस्तस्मै विष्णवे परमात्मने. So any queries from all the sessions conducted so far?
Yes, Pradnya. One query. So I was looking at the Tattvavaada list, and I did see a few devatas. Like, I have a question. Like, why are they placed in devata category? Because we see them usually in a negative sense, like pishachas, pretas. They're all above Manusha Gandharvas, and then Uttama Manushas. So I was just curious.
That specifically refers to the residents of Bhuvarloka.
Okay.
Those categories of people are those who are not exactly tamasikas, but they're sattvic beings mostly. So it's not necessary that they're always sattvic beings, but usually even the sattvic beings who are of who get the chance will usually be born in Bhuvarloka as either a spirit or pishachi like that, so that they can perform sadhana more easily. So if you see the Bhagavata Purana, there is actually there is a repeated mention of this Taratamya in multiple Puranas. So in the Bhagavata Purana also in one place it is explained. The Bhutas are superior to the Manushyas because the Bhutas are having much more advantages than us because they do not have a physical body. So they do not have hunger, thirst and all these things which we do. So they can focus all the time only on bhakti. So that's the explanation.
Right, so they are sattvika beings.
Mostly, but again, there will be certain pishachis in that category also who will be tamasic beings and not sattvic people.
Okay. Yeah.
But again, those particular bhutas and pishachis who are said to be superior to manushyas by swabhava are those who are naturally having a sattvic swabhava and they are superior to human beings. Their swabhava is not like manushya swabhava.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Any more queries? So someone had stated last week that he had posted some query in the chat of session 18. So there we did not find any other queries except there was a query about the interpretation of the Vakya Tattvamasi. So this is a Vakya from the Chandogya Upanishad, which means literally, if we take it, it means you are that. So that is the main implication of that Vakya is that where Uddalaka Rishi says that to his son that you are Brahman. So this is obviously may apparently seem to support Advaita, but again, this the complete context has to be noticed here, and We have already given an elaborate explanation on Tattvamasi on our YouTube channel, where there is a video called Tattvamasi or Atatvamasi. So the Madhva interpretation basically is that it is Atatvamasi, because the complete Vakya is Satma Tattvamasi. So Sri Madhvacharya has split the Vakya as Sa Atma Atatvam Asi. Shankaracharya splits the Vakya as Sa Atma Tattvamasi. But Madhvacharya splits it as Sa Atma Atatvamasi. So this is the basic difference. But again, Tattvamasi is also an equally acceptable interpretation. So again, this has been explained by Sri Madhvacharya in his Brahma Sutra Bhashya, because here Tvam doesn't mean you, as in when we use the words you, me, we, it doesn't necessarily refer to only our individual soul, that is our self, our Atma, the Jivatma. It can also be used as a reference to Paramatma, because Paramatma is the inner self of ourself. So on that basis also, the words like Aham Brahmasmi, the phrases like Aham Brahmasmi and Tattvamasi can be interpreted as referring to Paramatma. So again, this would be a very long explanation. So we've already given this on our YouTube channel, and we request those who are interested to check that. There is another query: are all Manushyas Rajasika in nature? So no, Manushyas are basically said to be Rajasika on a different basis. So basically, as we have discussed earlier, there are broadly three categories of beings, how they can be classified. That is Satvika, Rajasika, and Tamasika. The Satvikas are those who are naturally having bhakti and who are spiritual and who will be inclined towards practicing bhakti, and that is what they truly want from their heart, so they're eligible for moksha. The Rajasikas are those who are eternally in samsara. So the Tamasikas are those who have a natural liking for adharma, so they will one day fall into Andhantamas, where which is the opposite of moksha, and it is a permanent destiny where they will experience eternal dukkha. So coming to the fact about Manushyas, among the Satvika, Rajasika, and Tamasika beings, the Rajasika beings are purely human beings. So so those who are like human beings, who enjoy this human life and being born as a human being, and who love the material pleasures, they are the Rajasika jivas. And as said in the Bhagavad Gita's 18th Adhyaya also, their symptoms are Harsha Dukkha, that is being overjoyed and being extremely sorrowful for small things, for achievements and for demerits. So this is their nature. Satvikas, on the other hand, are again divided into several categories, starting from the Ruju Devatas, that is Brahma and Vayu, then moving on to the next Devatas like their wives, that is the Devis of Buddhi, who are Saraswati, the wife of Brahma, and Bharati Devi, the wife of Vayu. And then moving on, we have further down the hierarchy Garuda, Shesha, Rudra, and then it goes on till the Devatas like Indra, then finally the Gandharvas, then Manushya Gandharvas, Manushyottamas, and Manushyas. So these Manushyas who are eligible for moksha are those human beings who are sattvic beings. So by this logic, one cannot say that all human beings are Rajasikas, because human beings are a mixed category. The lowest position in the hierarchy of the Satvikas are the Manushyas who are Satvikas. The Satvika Manushyas, that is those who are eligible for moksha and are human beings. So they are said to be somewhat Rajasika, because among the Sattvic beings, they are they predominantly have Sattva Guna by their Swabhava. But again, in their though they are predominantly having Sattva Guna, they still are differentiated based on mild influence of other gunas like Rajoguna. So here, human beings who are Sattvikas are predominantly Sattvika, but they have mild Rajoguna, due to which they are said to be Rajasikas. So they are not actually Rajasika by Swabhava exactly, but due to easy susceptibility to Rajoguna, they are said to be lower than the other Sattvic beings, because they have more Sattva than us. So this is the case with the Satvikas who are Manushyas. Now, similarly, the Tamasikas who are Manushyas are also those Tamasikas who are slightly inclined towards Rajoguna and are not purely Tamasika. So they will, the Tamasika Manushyas will still not get the lowest position in Andantamas, unlike the pure Asuras. So I hope this makes the explanation clear.
Brother, you said something about Rajasic Jivas like extreme sorrow. Can you please repeat that?
Yes, they express extreme levels of emotion, such as being overjoyed or being extremely sorrowful. So those are their symptoms. They are not in balance with their emotions or with anything, any situation which they handle, because that is their natural tendency. So you can refer to the 18th adhyaya of the Bhagavad Gita for a more elaborate explanation on this.
Means are they oversensitive?
Yes, somewhat.
So we can say that if a person is oversensitive, that person possesses Rajasic gunas.
Yes, is probably overcome by Rajoguna. And that is mostly that is very easy for the Manushya Jivas to be overcome by Rajoguna.
So
But again, only the purely Rajasic people are naturally like that. Other than them, those who are Satvika Manushyas or Tamasika Manushyas will not actually have that symptom by their natural tendency.
also Sattvic people in earth also have some minor amount of Rajasic gunas. So if I mean, does that include oversensitivity also?
Yes, it does include that also.
So how will we differentiate between those Sattvic Jivas who are also oversensitive and also those who Rajasic Jivas who are also oversensitive?
See, actual Satvika Manushyas won't be that much oversensitive to these things because predominantly they have Satoguna. So once their Swabhava is fully manifested and once anyone attains Aparoksha Jnana, so at that time actually when their Swabhava is fully manifested, they won't be affected by all these emotions much, but they'll only they're almost all the time they'll be engrossed in bhakti. So with every action they perform, they'll be thinking of Bhagwan and they'll mostly have Sattva Guna. But in between, compared to the Devatas, their behavior will be not as good as the Devatas in exhibiting Sattva Guna. That's what it means. But other than that, to differentiate between people of different Swabhavas is easy if their Swabhava has manifested. But in most of the people, their Swabhava itself is unmanifest, so we cannot ascertain their Swabhava.
So those who are oversensitive, I mean the Rajasic Jivas, they can't change into Sattvic Jivas, right?
No, but again, it depends whether it's Prabhava of Rajoguna or whether it's Swabhava.
Oh, means due to Prabhava also that person can become oversensitive.
Definitely. That's very, as I said, that's a very natural tendency nowadays for many people, especially in today's times. Even similarly, Ajamila also, he was a Satvika Jiva, but he was overcome by Tamoguna to the extent that he almost appeared as if he was a purely Tamasika Jiva and was fit for Andantamas actually. If you see how he lived and how much of a downfall he had, but then his real swabhava turned out to be tattva. So he when his swabhava manifested and when he was exposed to different situations, in the end he finally realized what he truly wanted was bhakti. So that's why he changed. So same is the case with all jivas, because as long as we are in samsara and we don't have aparoksha jnana, as said in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita itself, we are bound to be influenced by all the gunas of Prakriti, that is material nature. Does that make it clear?
Okay. Yes, Bhrata, thank you.
So there is another question. So if Ashwatthama was an Amsha of Rudradeva, why did he commit greater sin by favoring Duryodhana? And how come he will propagate Vedas in the next yugas despite being sinful? And will he not go to Naraka after his curse from Krishna is served after this yuga? So, adding further to the above question, did he have Avesha of Asuras to perform such sinful acts? So, the answer to this is yes. if you see the Mahabharata, there is actually one shloka. I will try to locate the reference now. So Ashwatthama was actually not purely just Shiva himself. It was not that Shiva himself was born as Ashwatthama, and it was Shiva alone who committed all the sins which he did. Because actually, Ashwatthama was not one person. Again, just like the case of the different beings mentioned in the Shastras. So, in the Mahabharata's Sabhaparva, I think, if I remember correctly, there is one reference which states that Ashwatthama was actually, when he was born itself, he had the amshas of Shiva, Yama, Kama, and Krodha. So here itself, one should know that Kama and Krodha are asuras. So definitely because of that only he committed so many adharmic deeds also. Now it was not Shiva who committed those deeds or Yama who did that. So but primarily he was the avatar of Shiva. So once now, since the influence of Kama and Krodha and Yama also have left him, he is only Shiva's avatara now. So because of that, Ashwatthama, after the suffering given to Kama, Kama and Krodha is done, so he will be purely an avatar of Shiva, and that is why he will become the next Vyasadeva. No, the reference states it's Kama only. I will check different editions of the Mahabharata and confirm once. But when I check this particular version, it states that he was the avatar of Kama, Krodha, Yama, and Mahadeva. So in Kisari Mohan Ganguly's edition, it is like this only. So if I remember correctly, even the Sanskrit shloka also says the same thing. But I'll verify this nonetheless.
Yes, Bhatta Harirama, because Skanda is also referred to as a Kama. I mean,
He does not have Kama. He is a Devata. He is an Aparokshajnani. He is Kama Deva, who is presiding over Kama. But the one who represents Kama as the negative emotion itself is an Asura, as said by Guruji also in the previous sessions till date.
Yes. But karma can also be karma just means a wish, so it can be positive wish to positive desire.
Here it is said in the negative sense only. Here Kama Krodha are asuras, not devatas, or not simply the idea of wishing or desire.
What?
That is the exact reason why Ashwatthama was partially in Adharmi also. Because though he was the avatar of Shiva, he committed lots of adharmic deeds and supported adharmis also at many places.
The other Avishas had committed the dharma.
Yes, it was because of them only that they committed those deeds. It was not Shiva or Yama who did that.
Yes.
The next query is, can you explain how Nirgunatva is to be understood? So assuming that the question is about Nirgunatva of Brahman, this is refuted in the Shastras, and we have explained this towards the end of the 5th Adhyaya of the 6th Amsha of the Vishnu Purana, which we have translated and published on our website. So one can refer to that for an elaborate explanation, because there we have also quoted multiple references stating explicitly how Paramatma has lots of qualities, and he is said to be Gunarnava by Sri Madhvacharya, an ocean of gunas. This is especially to refute the Smartas, which Srimad Acharya has made such a statement. So the fact is that when Paramatma is infinite and is said to be described with all sounds of the universe, and he is said to have infinite names and forms, obviously his gunas are also infinite. So, and his gunas are actually non-different from himself. So because of that, he cannot be Nirguna. And this is again refuted in the Agamas also, which talk about his guna avataras and so many concepts. But obviously the Smartas who consider him Nirguna reject all this. And nonetheless, the Puranas are very clear that he is not at all Nirguna. Similarly, the Vedas also mention different gunas of his, such as Ananda, Jnana, Satya. So similarly, because of this, it's easy to refute it. So the fact is that in certain places, for example, in the 10th skanda of the Bhagavata Purana, towards the end, there is one shloka which says, Harirhi Nirguna, which means that Hari is indeed Nirguna. Now, this doesn't literally mean that he is Nirguna, because it will contradict all the other pramanas stating that he is possessing infinite gunas. So what such statements mean is that he does not have the negative qualities, the negative gunas, because even in the Vishnu Purana's 6th Amsha's 5th Adhyaya, where the same thing has been explained briefly, there is one shloka where it is said, Sa sarva bhuta prakriti gunadi doshamscha mune vyatitaha. He is discrete from all the bhutas, prakriti, doshas and gunas. From all the defective gunas, he is free. He is free from all the defective gunas, but that doesn't mean he is literally nirguna, because after a few more shlokas, it is again stated there only in that chapter that samasta kalyana guna atmako asau swashakti leshavrita bhuta vargaha. So he is indeed one with all sorts of auspicious gunas. Samasta kalyana guna atmako. Samasta kalyana guna atmaka means one whose atma or self itself consists of all the auspicious qualities. So here itself it is refuted. So I guess that should make it clear. Then moving on to the next query is Bali wrong or Chinese influence? There is no non-Hindu influence here. Bali has been prescribed in the Vedas themselves, and this is an elaborate topic which is not related here. So we would rather pick this up sometime later, or maybe during some other sessions. But since these classes are specifically for Tattvavaada, we would prefer not to discuss it as it will make us deviate from the topic, and we'll have to give a very elaborate explanation. But one thing, Pashu Bali is prohibited in Kali Yuga. So in Kali Yuga, this cannot be practiced. So the Vaidika Pashu Bali had a lot of differences and will be different from our understanding of how Pashu Bali may be right now. So that is one thing to keep in mind. So any more queries?
Yeah, one question. So, do Rajasika Jivas like never experience their intrinsic nature? Because Sattvika Jivas experience in Vaikuntha, Tamasika in Andattamas. So, will they never experience the Rajasika Jivas? Because they're always bound in this samsara.
That itself is their intrinsic nature. Their swabhava itself is to enjoy being materialists. That's why they remain in samsara, because the sadhana they perform is the sadhana they perform makes them finally remain in samsara, because that is what they truly desire.
Okay. Also, like towards the end, there are three ways that Jiva loses their linga deha, which is in the Virja river, and then the Rajasika Jivas, it is the Omkara of Vayudeva, and Tamsika Jivas is the Gada of Vayudeva. So if they still like remain in samsara, like why do they lose that?
Because
if they lose that,
Mahapralaya, they will become unmanifest again, because all
Okay.
jivas remain in an inactive state at that time.
Okay, got it.
So after Srishti occurs again, all the jivas who are supposed to be in samsara will again take birth and will get a body according to their karmas and as and how they deserve it.
Okay, got it.
Only those who have achieved either moksha or andantamas will remain unaffected by that.
Okay. And one more question. So you said earlier that the Mahabharata and Ramayana are like specifically in this Manvantara. So is the Dasha avatar of Vishnu, is it like in every Manvantara or every Kalpa, or is it like only this? So I'm a bit confused of what do we have exactly in each Manvantara and what is like eternal.
All rupas of Bhagavan are eternal, and all his avatars are eternal only, and he has infinite forms and names and all these things. So again, we cannot actually estimate that. So one thing is that certain avatars of Bhagavan keep repeating here and there. Actually, all will repeat, but since our time scale is too small for us to grasp all that, we are made to remember whatever is done by Bhagwan during the recent few units of time which we are able to recollect. So there certain avatars of Bhagwan will be repeating here and there, but again the incidents which happen during his avatars always vary, and the people involved also vary. Just as said by Guruji also during the last few sessions, that in the Vedas only it is stated that Vishwamitra Rishi discovers the Gayatri Chanda. So that doesn't mean that that same Vishwamitra Rishi will come back to samsara once he attains moksha. That's not what it means. It means that some other jiva who is having the swabhava of a rishi, who is a sattvika jiva with the swabhava of a rishi, will perform enough sadhana and will achieve that position. And he will do the same kind of things such as discovering the Gayatri Mantra. But again, the exact incidents there will differ. So same is the case with Bhagwan's avatars also.
Okay, yeah, because this kalpa is called like Shvetavaraha kalpa because he came as Varaha Avtara. So I'm assuming that is not in every kalpa. Just because he came in this kalpa, it's called as Varaha kalpa, the Shvetavaraha kalpa. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Ashwatthama is distinct from Shiva, Yama, and all others. No, Ashwatthama, in the sense, Ashwatthama is the primarily he is Shiva with the Avesha of Yama, Kama, and Krodha. That is who Ashwatthama's identity is. But Ashwatthama himself specifically is Shiva only. Does that make it clear?
Then will Sri Shiva become Vedavyasa in the next Kalpabrata?
Yes. As Ashwatthama, he will become the next Vedavyasa.
Okay, brother, thank you.
He will become the next Vyasa in the next Manvantara.
Okay, brother.
Okay, Aditya Pratha. Even I also remembered reading it as Kama only.
Does anyone remember what we spoke? Did that?
Guruji has joined us now. Hope the audio is audible.
Yes, brother.
Hare Rama. Greetings from Shringeri to all of you. Abhramam bhangarahitam ajadam vimalam sada anandatirthamadulam bhaje tapatrayapaham. We spoke in the last classes about Swabhava. But the focus on Swabhava, what is Swabhava and what is not. It is such an overruling, it's not overruling, sorry, what's the word? It's such a governing principle that everything that happens in life, or everything that exists, all the forces in play that exist, all the agencies of the universe that make things happen, they all can be categorized into just two categories: those which encourage and those which blossom your Swabhava, and those which don't. Which don't in the sense, which do the opposite. Like they manipulate in order to gain some personal benefit. It's that. So a person is as great as the defense that he has, the kind of cognitive immune system that he has in place. That is literally what makes a person strong. No other religion or geography has such an elaborate cognitive defense system. That is why, despite so many attacks, I'm not just saying external attacks, despite so many attacks on the intellectual front, there is still a connection that lingers, that lurks with our true self. Nowhere else can you find such an elaborate defense. And the defense is so complete that even a person who is enjoying the result of that defense might not even know that we are actually being protected by it. Even a basic awareness of some stories of the Mahabharata maybe, or some things that we do and follow while we live, eat, things that we do in life. We visit a temple, get some naming ceremony or attend some ceremonies, attend some festivals, community events. So many things like that, all these serve to protect us in a cognitive way, in a way that's so subtle that we fail to acknowledge that we have that protection. But we enjoy the results of it despite not being aware of it. When we become aware of the defense that we have and the nature of the defense, how it is actually defending us and helping us preserve our swabhava against all manipulatory forces, then we'll begin to understand the nature of manipulations, and we will be enabled to get to the core of those manipulatory forces, intellectual or otherwise. All forces are intellectual. If somebody is threatening you to kill you, that is also an intellectual threat. There's a saying that in English it goes, as long as there is fear of death, there will be an executioner. Has anybody heard that?
Yes, Guruji.
As long as there is fear of death, there will be an executioner, because the executioner is employed there not because somebody senses some need to reduce the number of people or anything. It's not. It's really to just instigate fear. Indians were known to be fearless. The British records initially, they are still available in the archives. Anyone can read them. The British were amazed at how in Bharata, in this land, people weren't afraid of death. They were not afraid of death. It's not just the warrior class, but no one here was afraid of death, including the dhobi, including the weaver, or the most simpletons also were not afraid of death, because that's why they started giving capital punishment before, and that didn't seem to make any change. It's after that they resorted to torture. And there was a lot of kings and people who went through that torture, who tolerated all the torture, but did not budge an inch from their stance.
Yes, Guruji.
Yeah. So that swabhava needs to be protected with that kind of a cognitive defense. And that the Mahabharata forms such a complete cognitive defense system that protects our swabhava against all such manipulative forces. And when we study the Mahabharata, we will be able to attack them. There might be a group of people who will kill you for pointing faults at them, but actually that shows weakness, not strength. Now those people are just the fear that they are instilling in people. It's just amongst fools. When a real intellectual, when they really encounter a real, they won't be able to confront him. Because basically, when we become real intellectuals who have risen, if we rise beyond the manipulative forces and learn to be situated in our swabhava, we will be able to expose their true faults in a way that they won't be able to defend. So even instilling fear by weapons and threatening to kill, this is also really ultimately only an intellectual threat. Because those who are intelligent, who have that kind of a cognitive defense that supports their swabhava, will not care a damn for such threats. And they wouldn't even mind to die. Because they know that death will come naturally in one way or the other. But it is not worth losing your soul for fear of death.
Yes, Guruji.
So that forms for courage. That is what makes a brave person. It makes a Veera. Veera is formed like that. So that is what the Bhagavad Gita is doing. The Kauravas had many manipulatory intentions. They hoped that the Pandavas will be affected. But they were not affected because of the cognitive defense that they had cultivated since childhood. Of course, they shook a little in the beginning, but then little help from Krishna, and they were back to their Swarupa. So, Swarupa, being in Swarupa, that is strength, that is real strength. Not the ability to kill somebody or hit somebody, but being situated in your Swarupa, even in the most adverse situations. That is strength. And that is the strength that we need to really cultivate. We might need to do physical training and exercise. Yeah, that is also part of this, but the core, that is not the core. The core, that also connects to the core. The core is to be in the Swabhava. Corresponds to Swabhava. Another manipulatory force is to cut you off from your own past. Is to say that you are in no way connected with what happened beyond, say, the last 30, 40, 50 years. It only matters to you what happened after that. It's because you're too spatially, temporally distant from it. That distancing is also a kind of a sinister strategy to distance you from your own past. You might not have gone through it, but your ancestors or even near and dear ones went through it. For filing cases, criminal, violent, to get justice for the criminal violence that was performed in Kashmir during the 1990s, when there was the exodus of so many people from Kashmir, native people from Kashmir, when they were pushed out by terror activities. So those cases, when they were filed to the Supreme Court has now replied that we will not be taking up those cases because they are too far away. But 1990, is it so far? Most of us were alive during 1990. I'm just giving an example how manipulation works. 1990s so far? No, it's not very far.
Yes, Guruji.
But the Supreme Court has told that. Of course, it's a very big. I don't doubt the intelligence of the bench of judges and the CJI and all these people. But I definitely doubt their readiness to go through the consequent disturbance that reawakening revisiting the truth will create. So this distancing is also another manipulative force. It will say that, okay, you're just 1947. Amonge kamiya ekadin. So they will not tell you of all the past connection, you have a past. You cannot be just isolated, cut out from your past, and it's of great consequence to us. And our past goes back to the hoary, very ancient. Today we sit during japa or puja, invoking Paravasu and Arvavasu. Arvavasu and Paravasu, you get to hear their stories in the Mahabharata. But you see how we are connected to that. Today also when we sit for puja or when we sit for japa, we say, Nirastah Paravasu, Ida Mahamarvavasu, Sadane Sidami. Paravasu is discarded, and I am sitting on the asana that is predominated by Arvavasu. Who are Arvavasu and Paravasu? Look at the Mahabharata. But it's an event that happened in the hoary past. But even today, when we sit in our asana, when we do anything, we drink in a certain way, we drink water in a certain way, we sit in a certain way, we stand in a certain way, we walk in a certain way, because we have received that from we are connected with our past. Our past experiences have shaped our ways of life. They have shaped the ways, the attitudes that we have maturely formed in us to deal with our surroundings over the ages. And nothing is as valuable as something that has developed over the years, over millions and millions of years. Nothing is as powerful, nothing is as valuable as that. So we need to start learning the value of our own past, our own perspectives, our own ways of life, our own philosophies of life. And we need to eagerly and hungrily glean whatever possible and make ourselves protected cognitively. When we are cognitively protected, when our cognitive defenses are in place, then that gives us a very safe, unshakable, stable location to actually perform, to actually practice excellence. Excellence is only possible under such protection. Think about this.
Yes, Guruji.
We have no idea of the kind of integrity that our ancestors possessed. The greatest source of inspiration and connection with a level of dignity is not from what we can accomplish in this life. No. Most people are under that misconception. Dignity comes from the past. Dignity comes from our allegiance towards our ancestors, their greatness. That gives us dignity. To know that we have descended from them, not how much we have ascended in our life through our own accomplishments. That's very trivial, no matter what you've done. It's very small compared to the timeless inheritance that we have from the past. For example, the Pandavas and Kauravas, it seems Yudhishthira, when they assembled to discuss war strategies, Yudhishthira wanted to know the confidence levels and the kind of power that is there to serve his side. So he asks everyone. I had my spies describe to me that in a similar event that happened in the Kauravas' planning room of war strategies, when Duryodhana asked each of the warriors how much time would they take to completely destroy the Pandava army, to completely annihilate the Pandava army, with the Pandavas, of course. And each of them gave their own answers. Bhishma said 1 month. Drona said 2 months. Kripacharya said 3 months. Ashwathama said, I can do it in 5 days. Ashwathama said, I can do it in 10 days. Karna said, I can do it in 5 days. So Yudhishthira brought the question to weigh on his own assembly, and he asked, so can you all tell here how much time would you take to completely annihilate the Kaurava army? And he looked at Arjuna first. And Arjuna looks at Krishna. And then he looks at, it's a very beautiful assembly actually, all of them sitting with such aesthetically perfect dresses and helmets and ornaments. So much blending in with the ambience around, creating such a room for excellent thought. And he looks at Yudhishthira and tells him that, see, don't you worry, dear brother, everyone here, there are many warriors here, each equipped with their own expertise and special weapons, and they're all capable of bringing victory to you by destroying the Kaurava army. But Yudhishthira says, still I insist that you go ahead and tell me how much time would you take actually to destroy the entire Kaurava army. And Arjuna says, if you ask in that way, I would say, I would just take the time that a blink of the eye takes. That's all the time that I would take to actually vanquish the Kaurava army. How is that? Because Arjuna says, I have Pashupata Astra which Lord Shiva gave me personally. And that is the same Pashupata Astra which Lord Shiva uses at the time of universal pralaya. With that one Pashupata Astra, he brings about destruction in the whole universe. So if I intend to bring and vanquish, if I intend to completely destroy the Kaurava army, it would take me nothing. No, it would hardly take not even a second. It will take less than that. But Arjuna tells Yudhishthira, but the fact is that I won't be using it. Now this is a little hard for the modern people to understand, because they simply can't get their heads around the fact that Arjuna was in possession of such a powerful thing and did not use it. He did not use it even when his son Abhimanyu died on battlefield. There are many such weapons, each of them possessed, even like the Brahmashira, Brahmastras. Many of them, which are absolutely destructive, but they never used it. Now, it's very difficult to understand. It's hard to understand, but yet it remains a fact that such a mind that can be in possession with such instruments of power and still never resort to use it, that is strength. Any question?
Yes, Guruji. I was asking that won't Pashupatastra will destroy the entire universe along with Kauravas?
What?
The Pashupatastra won't destroy the entire universe along with the Kauravas if Arjun uses it.
No, those astras will destroy whom you want to destroy.
Okay, Guruji.
Whom the possessor of that astra wants to destroy. Those
Yes,
weapons
Guruji.
are conscious weapons. They are not unconscious.
Yes, Guruji, got it.
Okay. No, but the point here is that the kind of moral, intellectual integrity and strength that keeps a person from resorting to such a desperate weapon, even at such trying and testing times like when his son's life was taken. Okay, if I would like to just conclude the class at this point of time. If anybody has any questions or comments, please do come forward. Not just questions, even comments will be happy to hear. Okay, then. So we'll conclude the class here. Shri Krishnarpnamastu. Achyutananda Govinda, Achyutananda Govinda, Achyutananda Govinda. Fine, Prajna, I'll be signing out. If there's
Hare
any
Rama
discussion
Krishna.
that ensues, try to take care of it, please.
Yes,
Hare
Guruji.
Rama.
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama. Thank you.
Hare Rama Guruji.
Hare Rama Krishna.
So if
No,
there
sir.
are no queries, then we can end here for today. Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Dhanyavada. Thank you for coming here, and thank you to all the viewers on YouTube too. And tomorrow we'll have the next session.